Hi everyone, welcome back to this series of PMP practice questions, perfect for preparing for your PMP exam, and especially for this one we're looking at waterfall questions, so the sequential development in a project. And the reason this is really important is because you'll still find waterfall questions on your PMP exam, but most importantly you'll still find waterfall ways of working in the real world when you work on your real projects in real life. So this is just a wonderful way to get up to speed, to stay up to speed, and also to help you pass the exam. We've got 10 questions, they're scenario based, just like the real exam as well. It's going to be a whole bunch of fun. Let's get into it. About a third of your project team have worked on a similar project in the past. They have gathered the requirements and created a high-level scope. It's time to estimate the size and effort involved. However, the customer believes things are taking too long and would like to see some progress as soon as possible. What will we do next? All right, let's have a look at our options. And so I think what we're looking at here, we're looking at requirements. What do we do after requirements, after we've gathered those requirements and put the scope together? So I think what do we do next? But also, how do we make that in as short a time as possible? So whatever that is. Let's have a look. So do we ask the customer to wait so we can plan the project properly? I think there's probably better ways to do this. So ideally we're serving our customer, if that's the project sponsor or the business or the actual customer themselves. Ideally we are working with them, not just sort of telling them to wait. There's probably a better answer here, I think. Estimate the scope using parametric estimating. Parametric estimating is when we're using a parameter. So, dollars per meter, for example, or dollars per hour, for example. So that's our parameter. And if we've got $100 per hour and we've got 100 hours, then we know we've got X amount of dollars that we need to support here. And my maths is not that good, so I can't figure that out off the top of my head, but you get the idea, I hope. And in the exam, you will have a small calculator, so that will help as well for stuff like that, if you really need it. Break the high-level scope into smaller parts using a work breakdown structure. That's one of the things that we potentially will do. However, I think what we're looking to do is speed this up as much as possible as well. And it sounds like we've already we have created that high-level scope. We do want to break that down, but ultimately estimating the scope using analogous estimating. So it's time to estimate the size and the effort involved. If we're doing that, I think we're not going to look at this one for now. That gives us a clue there. And analogous estimating is when we're using an analogy. So it's something similar to something else. In other words, it's similar to another project. And these guys have already worked on a similar project in the past. So all of that put together, we're going to use, I think, let's go with enter D. And there it is. Analogous estimating uses information regarding resources from a previous similar project as the basis for estimating a future project. It's used as a quick estimating method and can be used when the project manager only has to identify a few top levels or can only identify a few top levels of the work breakdown structure. So it's really high level, but it's also fast. And there it is, page 324 under analogous estimating in the PMP guide, 6th edition, which is a great guide on the waterfall processes with a little bit of agile thrown in there as well. All right, how did you go? That was a good one to kick us off, I think. What's the next question? You have been asked to monitor the changes to a product before completing your next project phase. You review the control chart. The data is within the upper and lower limits. Okay, control chart, got the average here, upper limits, lower limits, and we've got the actual data itself. You have an upward trend of 4 data points and 6 points above the average line, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So, okay, but it sounds like they're not above the control line, so we're safe there. 6 points above the average line. Okay, it sounds like what we're looking at here is a control chart and when it's in control or out of control. And let's see what options we have, just in case that gives us a clue. But by the looks of it, if we've got 4 in an upward trend, I think we need 5 for it to be out of control, and 6 above the line in any one thing. I think we need 7 for that to be out of control. So potentially we're okay here. Let's have a look. Proceed with the next phase as the process is within control. Okay, that could work. I think that could work for what we're after here. Let's see what else just in case. Delay the next phase and rework the current release as the process is out of control. I think not out of control yet, so I think we're safe. Ask the project sponsor to validate the released deliverable. I don't think it's really asking us about that. That's a bit of a red herring answer, I think, that one. So trying to throw us off, we don't need to look at that. Proceed with quality testing to verify the created deliverables. Again, very similar. This is asking us about control charts in control or out of control. I think for our purposes, let's go with answer A. And there it is. The rules for control charts indicate a process is out of control if 7 or more points are above the center line, 5 or more points are in one direction, just like the band, that is a trend. Any point outside the control limits, so any outside or below here. The process, as long as it's within all of those, the process is within those guidelines. We're happy days. Page 404, and this is actually from the Green Belt Handbook, which is a great book on quality control. So statistical quality control, they call it, or process control, SPC. But this is control chart interpretation. Very handy to know if you're working in projects as well. All right, that was a little bit trickier. All right, let's see what we've got next. You're working in the process of planning and resources, planning the resources required for your project. Work on your project has not started as your team are not sure what they should be doing. Okay, you decide to create the resource management plan with your team. What output do you specifically need from this plan? So people don't know what they need to do, and we need to create the resource management plan. But what do we need out of that plan? Okay, stakeholder register. That seems pretty reasonable. Let's put a maybe for that one. Project charter. We should have that already if we're planning our project. We initiate a project with the project charter, and then when we're planning, we use the project management plan and all of the subsidiary plans within that. So not that one. Requirement traceability matrix. I think we can trace requirements to their source and to the scope that we're delivering, but that doesn't relate necessarily to the resources. So let's put that as a no for now. Roles and responsibilities with, oh, this looks promising. Their responsibilities, so they know what they're doing. That would help us. The authority needed and the competence needed. Okay, I think that probably sounds the best of all. What do you guys think? You probably got there ahead of me, actually. If you had read ahead, I reckon we're going to go with answer D. And there it is. Excellent. The specific output as part of planning resource management is roles and responsibilities with their role details, authority and competence. Stakeholder register captures people involved with the project, but not necessarily project team members and their roles. Okay, so it sort of gets halfway there, but not really. So that's good to know. Page 318 under Resource Management Plan Outputs in the PMP Guide 6th edition. Again, that great little waterfall guide. And all right, we're doing great. We're really getting through these questions. Let's see what the next one holds for us. A quality assurance manager has been hired externally to test the project and manage defects. She executed the process in the quality management plan. Great. So that's the process. That's exactly what she should be doing. That's fantastic. With her testing team, where they found a high number of low impact defects. High number, low impact. Okay, I wonder what it's going to ask us here. You need to see where the biggest impacts actually are. What will you do next? How do we look at where... Okay, all right. Oh, this actually seems pretty straightforward, so this is pretty good. What are our options? A flow chart, that's where we look at a process and the steps. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, what are the steps in a process? That's a flow chart. Matrix diagram is like, what you use in Excel typically, and you've got things over here, and do they match up with things over here? Maybe here and here. So I don't think that's it either. Affinity diagram is when we're grouping things with an affinity to each other. So similar items here, all the similar items here, all the similar items here. That's your affinity diagram. But last but not least is our histogram, where we've got all the defects for this area, all the defects for this area, all the defects for this area. How many have we got? We can see clearly that the most Common, defect, even if it is a low impact, we still have a high volume of this particular one. That is our histogram, just like a bar chart basically. Very simple, but for us, let's go with answer A. All right, excellent. This scenario asks for a data representation of the most common item, most common, meaning a histogram will be best. This is like a bar chart, counting the number of each item. In this case, the item is defects. Page 293 in the PMP guide under histograms. You're doing pretty well. All right, let's get to this. The project you're working on has recently started and the team has come together from many different parts of the organization, each with their own agenda. And you know what, you'll see this happen in the real world as well. So you'll have lots of different people coming together because projects bring different people together. Each of them have their own ideas, each of them have their own ways of working. That's why projects are so difficult and you need real methodology to work with it and deal with it. So there are lots of small conflicts in the team and there's little work getting done. The program manager asks you to use your positional power to resolve these conflicts as the team starts to find its rhythm. What will you do? How do we use positional power? This is when we're in a position of authority. So, you know, we can say things and force people to do things in a way. We're using forcing power basically. So we're not trying to smooth things over. And look, all these answers actually relate to that. So do we withdraw from the conflict? No, we are trying to actually, really we're basically dictating. It's a dictatorship at this point, but we're doing it to try and make it happen quickly. So it's for a good reason. And that's the reason when you would use that type of power as well. It's good to know. Force a decision for the conflicts, potentially that one, pretty good. Smooth and accommodate all sides in the conflicts, probably not for us at this point. And again, as the team matures, maybe we can do that. But at this point, we need to get things done quickly, need to force it. Problem solve conflicts with the team. That's the second best answer. Problem solving is really good. In this case, we may not have time to go through that. We just need a quick answer again. So for our purposes, let's go with answer B. There it is. Using positional power is forcing your viewpoint at the expense of others and mostly offers win-lose, so scenarios or solutions. So we win in this case, whatever winning means, and the other party loses something or doesn't get their way, for example. This approach mostly works to resolve conflicts in a quick time frame, and it sacrifices other things like team engagement or getting other information from other team members that might actually be important to the viewpoint as well. Something to consider there. Page 349, conflict management in the PMP guide. Another reason why the PMP guide is such a wonderful tool, because it has a lot of this stuff like conflict management, communication styles and techniques, all of these soft skills that are really, really important in the real world, whether you're managing a team or managing a project. Really, really great stuff. All right, you know what else is really great stuff? You are halfway through this little section of questions. Doing great, guys. Let's keep going. During your project, your company was taken over by another larger company and the project management office and its policies were changed. The project customer has already formally accepted the deliverables. Okay, that's good. So everything is happening, things are changing, all the office policies are changing. However, everything's already been accepted as well. So that's good news for us. The project has completed delivery, also good, and it's ready to be closed. That's fantastic. Do we need to do anything? Well, let's see. So if it's ready to be closed, what do we do when our project is ready to be closed? Maybe that's our clue. What will you do next? Okay, do we refer to the charter, the project charter for the closing procedures? Usually that's not in the project charter. That's what we use to initiate our project, if you remember. So very good information to have. We kick off our project with a project charter. Refer to the scope management plan for the deliverables acceptance. So what's the process for accepting the deliverables? But the deliverables have already been accepted. Tricky. So this is potentially relevant, but not for us in this scenario because it's already happened. Okay, next one. Gather the details of the accepted deliverables. Okay, they've been accepted. Any agreements and procurement documentation. Okay, in order to close the project. I think that has potential. Let's see what the last one is. The project cannot be closed as the project outcomes need to be measured and accepted. Not true. You can measure the outcomes of the project and the product after the project happens. So, did we deliver the value that we wanted to? Sometimes you have to deliver the project before you can measure it. Well, that makes sense. So, and it's already been accepted again. So all of those things, I think we've eliminated the other ones. Let's go with answer C for this. Great stuff. Inputs into the closed project or phase include the accepted deliverables, agreements or project closure, and procurement documentation if we've got any vendors or third parties. So this is in the PMP Guide, page 126, PMP Guide 6th edition. Fantastic stuff. Well done, guys. I think that was a bit easier. We used the process of elimination there, so that wasn't too bad after all. All right, let's see what the next one we have. One of your stakeholders with a very high influence within the company has raised an urgent change and that they want to be implemented within the next 2 weeks. Okay, you check the change management plan and see that changes can be approved, right, by the project manager. Oh, that's fantastic. That's really good news. Could make things go pretty quickly. You raise a change request and then review the impact. Excellent. So this is the process for change requests, which is really good. But potentially we'd review that impact and then raise the change request, roughly around the same time, to the project schedule and the cost, because we do need to know what that impact is going to be. What are we going to do next? So we would usually take it to the change control board or whoever approves those, but in this case, that's us. So that's very, very handy. If only all projects were, that's a really good, makes things very, very easy. All right. Review the configuration management plan to see which documents are baselined. I think we've passed that. That is correct for a configuration management plan to see which documents are baselined, but we've already passed that stage. So I think no for now. Review the schedule earned value reports for your project. That's reviewing the impact. So we've already done that as well. Decide on the changes, approve the changes, and track the changes. That sounds promising because we have the power here. So we can actually do all those things as the project manager. So we can approve them, we can track them, and then typically we would communicate those back out to the people who made the changes. So I think maybe that one. Review the requirement traceability matrix for the requirement acceptance and sign off. I think we're not at that stage either. We're talking about changes. So changes, here we go. Make the world go round. Let's go with answer C. Excellent work. Earned value reports on cost or schedule variance are an input to the change control process. So we did go through that. We looked at those variances. You've already asked for these. As the project manager can approve change requests on this project, the steps are to decide, approve and track those changes once the impact has been determined. And here we're looking at page 119 under Change Control Tools in the PMP Guide 6th edition. And you know what? These page numbers are super helpful as well because there's something like 700 pages in the PMP Guide 6th edition. So, we could go through that page by page ourselves, but it would take quite a bit of time. This way, we're saved a little bit of time, which is a nice thing. So anyway, and you know what else is a nice thing? The last 3 questions in this little section. You're doing great. Let's keep going. You're in the process of measuring the outcome of one of your deliverables on the business. Okay, this is what we were talking about before. We've delivered something to the business. Now we can measure what's happened. Has it had the impact that we wanted it to have? The data shows that there seems to be an improvement, but the range of results is very wide. Okay, this is going to give us a clue here. The range of results. You're able to get very clear results. I can see where this is going already. Based on these results, what will you do next? And if we look at our answers, we've got precision and accuracy. So what's the difference between these two things? I've just got to think about this. Accuracy is like the range. So if we have a wide range of items, then that is low accuracy because it could be here, could be here, could be here. If we have a short range, then that's quite accurate, isn't it? So it's only going to be between this little section here. So it's like a target. There you go. Bullseye, potentially. But the process, so if it has precision, then So that's the clarity of results. Are the results precise? So can we clearly see what those results are? Is it like down to the second, or is it down to the day? Or is it like, it's going to be sometime next month, for example? Then that's going to be less precise. So we have low accuracy because we have a wide range, and we have high precision. So let's look at this. High precision, high precision. These two here, that's what we want. Not these two, so that's good. Low accuracy, both of those are low accuracy. Okay, this is a bit tricky. What are we going to do when we have low accuracy but high precision? Okay, the deliverable process should be improved. I think that actually could be it, yeah, because our equipment is already precise, it's precise enough, but we've got this high, the results are happening all over the place. We need to improve that process and hone in those actual results. So I think actually that could be the one. Let's go with answer B. Fantastic. Okay, that was actually a little bit trickier. This question asks the difference between accuracy and precision. Let's see what tips they give us here. Low accuracy has a large range. That's what we said. High accuracy has a small range of outputs. Fantastic. Precision is how precise the outcome is. 2 days is more precise than sometime this week. So that's good to know. And we've got page 54 in the PMBOK Guide 7th edition there. So we're bumping up to the next PMBOK Guide, which is also handy, under 2.4, under estimating in the PMBOK Guide 7th edition. Well done, guys. That was a little bit trickier, but also very, very good to know. All right, last two questions. In the last few months, your project team have had a large amount of conflict, finding their role and place within the team. They're starting to work together and adjust their work habits and behaviors to support the team. Okay, this sounds promising, very nice. As a leader, what will you do next? Okay, so we've had some conflict. We're starting to support each other now. And look at these answers. This is storming, norming, what is storming, norming, performing, adjourning, forming, storming, norming, performing. They all rhyme, and it's quite nice. Anyway, it's Tuckman's model for the 5 stages of a team. If I could remember all of them, but yeah, I'm sure there's other rhyming words with performing and storming. I don't know. Let's see what options we have here, because we went through the storming stage, so the team are not in that. So now they're starting to support each other. They're probably in the norming stage. Are they performing yet? Not really. They need to work through norming. Have they formed? They've already formed as well, so that's fine. So I think for our purposes, we need to work with them to become performing. Let's go with answer C. There it is. These are the Tuckman stages of team development. A team that has moved through conflict, which is storming, and is starting to work together is in the norming stage. Help them use this and move into performing so they can truly deliver great outcomes. Page 338, the Tuckman ladder in the PMBOK Guide 6th edition. Well done, guys. And well done also, because you're up to the last question in this section. You've done an amazing job. Keep going. You're doing great. You're doing a fantastic job. But hopefully this question isn't too hard. Let's see what we've got. All right. Well, it's long at least. Gosh, they save the best for last, as always. You have used a project charter and statement to create the project management plan. Fantastic. You present the plan to key stakeholders. Good. Including the project sponsor. Fantastic. And you sense a high level of dissatisfaction by the customer executives. Okay. They don't believe that the project will produce the results that they had expected. What should you do next? Okay, so how do we help them come on board for this? Request a written statement from the customer detailing their concerns. Maybe, that could work. Then it's in writing, I suppose, as well. We might be tempted to do this. I wonder if there's a better way though. Can we actually get together and talk about it? Maybe that would also help get through this conflict, maybe. Let's see what we got. Proceed as normal. Your project plan will produce a convincing product for the customer, but then there's always going to be those questions in it. So it's going to be quite hard to proceed if everyone isn't on board or the majority of people aren't on board. So I think we need to work with them first. Arrange a change request, replan your project where necessary, and go ahead with the project work. Well, we need to find out what the changes are or what the dissatisfaction is actually about. Maybe if we have a conversation about it, we find out that it isn't that bad after all. So I think no for that one yet. We still need to figure it out. Work together, that sounds promising, with your customer to create a narrative scope statement outlining the deliverables. Okay, that actually sounds much more promising. We can work with them directly, and we can create a scope statement that they are actually happy with. And potentially, then we can prioritize that and actually work our project manager magic, and figure out which ones we can deliver, which ones we can't, which ones might blow out our schedule, which ones might blow out our cost. Work with those priorities and put that together in our beautiful project management plan. I think for our purposes, let's go with answer D. Fantastic. All right, a collaborative and direct approach, and that's the real key. Collaborative and direct. Always, always those two things in your career and in the PMP exam. Combined with the proper outputs of defining a scope, such as the scope statement, including description, deliverables, and acceptance criteria. That's going to help us overall. Page 154 under Project Scope Statement. And that is a wonderful way to finish this little section of questions. You have done an amazing job. And also, I have to say, what you're doing is so, so, so important. You are truly doing the right thing. By learning about project management, projects are everywhere. Change is everywhere. And is change going to get more, or is change going to get less? It's going to get more, of course. The pace of change around the world is happening faster and faster. So the skills that you're learning are so important. I cannot stress to you enough. Keep going. You're doing an amazing job, and I truly, truly believe in you. I hope to see you in the next video. Bye for now.